Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. Let's talk about running your business day to day. Davika Bridge is a career advancement expert who recently released her debut book. It's called Thrive in Color: How to Master Self-Advocacy and Command Your Career as an Underrepresented Professional. Here she shares some of her insights.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
I'm Davika Bridge. I am the founder and CEO of Bridge the Gap Consulting. My firm is a learning and development focused resource. I partner with companies like Converse and Meta, Nike, Visa, Morgan Stanley, a bunch of great companies across the board. And our focus area is basically helping their employees with career advancement, career development, and also leadership development. And while we work with all demographics, we have a special focus on underrepresented talent as well, like people of color and women and others that are, have been historically marginalized. I mean, my passion for what I do is because I had an enormous experience as a woman of color, just always being held back or not being able to receive the promotion that I wanted and that I was deserving of because, other people were getting access to that opportunity because they were able to advocate and highlight their achievements. It was taught to them. They grew up like that. Where for me, I was, me. I came from a single parent household. I was told to not rock the boat too much, don't lose the opportunity. And so even though I was doing really great work, probably more so than my peers that were getting promoted over me, I was just really stifled in my ability to actually demonstrate that because I was thinking that by doing that, I was not being humble, I was being conceited, I was being braggadocious. And these are the mindsets that women have. These are the mindsets that people of color have, but it really does hold us back. So after, trying to figure it out for myself for half my career and then kind of unlocking, no, I need to advocate for myself properly, putting frameworks together that not only help myself grow rapidly. I got 6 promotions in 6 years and increased my salary 7 times over in that period. And I always thought, what if I had operated like this from the beginning? But I spent half of my corporate career trying to figure it out. And so now I've written things like Thrive in Color. I have programs and offerings that teach people what I had to learn to actually accelerate my career. But it wasn't always inherent. It wasn't something that I knew. And so I get the opportunity now to teach people this and see them win in their careers. Thrive in Color, it's a playbook, a blueprint for how to approach career advancement. So we talk about everything from creating your professional brand to mastering negotiation, mastering self-advocacy, and everything in between. And really anybody can pick up this book and have the tools and the strategies to apply to their own career advancement and development goals. But I really wrote it with the heart for people of color and just highlighting some of the nuanced challenges that they experience in the workplace. I think that there's been a lot of conversations around DEI, even though I'm not a DEI practitioner. I think a lot of the messaging and the experiences is often missed. And there needs to be greater visibility around that so organizations can create cultures that win together, and bring their employees together. And so the book is a playbook on how to essentially drive your career forward on your own terms in a powerful way. One is, a lot of people of color, especially first and second generation immigrants, and even women, we're always taught, keep your head down, focus on the job, don't, rock the boat, don't ask for too much, you're going to lose the opportunities. So when you grow up with these ideologies, it's something that you carry into the workplace, into your career. And if you're not doing the work to break it, you're immediately holding yourself back. Because if you think about how the workplace, especially corporate America, but the workplace in general works, is you have to be effective self-advocates. You have to be able to communicate your contributions and achievements and be bold about it. And that's generally what leads to career advancement and growth. But if you're not doing that because you've been told not to your whole life, or you've, grown up in experiences where, for first and second generation immigrants, let's just take them as an example. If you've seen your parents take every opportunity that they got because they couldn't lose it, because they had to provide for you as a child, you take that ideology into the corporate space or the workplace. And so if you're not breaking that cycle in your head, if you're not changing your mindset, you're holding yourself back because the workplace expects you to show up in that way. So I think it's just a clashing of cultures and what's expected and how historically marginalized individuals are showing up. That's where, my work comes in as Bridge the Gap, and where I've been blessed to work with so many companies that understand this is a challenge. but I think really doubling down on learning and development opportunities. And so when I talk about learning and development and think about training that occurs in the workplace, it's generally kind of one size fits all, right? It's like, well, how do you become a leader? Or how do you become an effective XYZ? There's always these really great workshops, but we're not actually breaking down the nuanced challenges and the nuanced experiences that some of these employees face on a day-to-day. And so really allowing that space for training and development so these individuals can grow within your organization, which in turn helps the organization retain great talent. But you have to kind of meet them where they're at, right? You have to make sure that the knowledge and education that you're giving them is actually resonating with them and speaking to their nuanced experiences. And there's so many ways that organizations can do that. There's so many third-party agencies, there's thought leaders and really great people that are working with women specifically, or people of color, or first and second generation immigrants, or other underrepresented groups, and just, getting to their level and being able to talk through their challenges and then giving them the tools and the strategies. But with a lot of the pulling back of what's going on in DEI and the kind of the environment today, as companies are pulling back on DEI, they're actually pulling back on learning and development. They're actually pulling back on resources that are really fundamentally helping their employees succeed in the organization, and helping the organization win together as a whole. So, just doubling down on learning and development, training, access to mentorship programs, and really empowering your employees to drive their careers forward in an empowered way.
Running your business day to day is made possible by Circular.